of beautiful Baota Mountain here in Shaanxi province. Just walked up about, I don't know, 15 flights of stairs or so, getting myself some exercise. Not looking too bad for 60 years old, staying in good shape, won't let myself get fat. Gotta stay healthy. If you're an older man, you need to stay healthy. You know what else you gotta do? You gotta keep your head screwed on straight. You gotta learn to think for yourself. And most important things happening in the world, you can't forget what's going on. And what's going on is the world all around us is changing and there's too much ugly crap happening. Isn't that the truth? Okay? So let me give you the big fat updates about China and what's new. You want to know what's new? Nothing's new. You know, I had a gentleman this morning and asked me about what's happening with China, and here's what I told him. I said, look, I said, and in fact you can see it in my tweet, China is and has been on a very specific course. I'm going to get in the shade here, there's light better. China is and has been on a very specific course, and China is going to stay on that course. You can be sure that 100% China is not going to change course. Okay? Now, you have to understand what's going on with China's course. China's course is now in its 14th 5-year plan, understanding that each 5-year plan is a successive update of the previous plan, right? Now think about that for a second. Now, I know it bothers a lot of people. It bothers them so much that they're going out and attacking China. I mean, they're just point blank lying, saying shit that's just completely not true. It's a very, very ugly time we live in geopolitically. Meanwhile, I'm not just here to talk about that. I'm also here to share with you the wonderful, beautiful place that I am. This is Yan'an City. And that right behind me, right there, is Baota. Baota, that's Baota temple up on a mountain. This is like a little mini Chongqing, this city is. It's a little mini Chongqing. It's a little mini, actually, geez, look at that right there. And you'd almost think you're in Hong Kong. Look at that. Very nice. Look how beautiful. So look, folks, some key points to tell you. China's in this 14th 5-year plan. China is on a very, very specific course. It's been on this course since 2000. Now, it's my fate. It's my dumb luck. It's my beautiful luck that I ended up going to China, Chengdu, 1999. And I was there, and wonderful friend Frank Lee, my wonderful Chongqing Chinai de Pengyo, he's still in LA. My Chongqing friend, he invited me to China. I said, okay, I can go to China. Why not? And I came back a couple of times, couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe what it was like here. It was another world. And as he said to me, it was nothing like what he said it was going to, what I thought it would be. And he was absolutely right. Whoa, check this out. I've already gone up 15 flights. I come here, and then I just come to that set of stairs. Damn. Am I going up that? Well, that's all. Oh, yeah, you're coming with me. We're going. All right, so look, I was in Chengdu, and back then was very few business people. Very few business people. Look at this beautiful view. I swear I'm in Hong Kong, right? No, I'm in Yan'an, Shaanxi province, northwest China. And the Chengdu U.S. consulate, the one which unfortunately was closed, as you all know, was closed just a few months ago because of the ridiculous move by the United States. Well, what move by the United States towards China these days isn't ridiculous? Can anyone answer that question for me? Is there anything reasonable about calling someone a baby killer, it's like you falsely accuse me of being a serial baby killer and then hope that we can cooperate on the world stage together after you've falsely accused me of being a baby killer. You know, genocide in a province called Xinjiang of a minority group of people called Uyghurs, who are just one minority group of 51 who have preferential policies, not even aren't having genocide committed against them, which is like, that you would even say such a thing kind of tells me more about how you're a piece of shit rather than what's really going on, right? That not only is there not a genocide going on, but it's the opposite. The Uyghurs' lives are thriving. If you want to compare the life of Muslims here and the life of Tibetans here compared to how they are in other countries, go right ahead. You know, it's like, so China has done what? China has set itself on a very clear and specific course. China is staying that course. And remarkably good for the world. And they've gone about that course killing anyone. I like that part. I really like that part. And I wouldn't have realized how bad the situation is. I love talking to you from up on this perch where I am. I'm still resisting going up this flight of stairs. It looks so tall. It looks so high to me. So here I am, and I'm telling you these facts. Here's another one that, you know, before, what did they go after? They went after the Tibet thing. Okay, listen to me. I was invited to be on CGTN. You can find the link. Just a couple weeks ago, because China was celebrating this. All right, I'll stay where the light's nice on me. China was celebrating the 70-year anniversary of the liberation of Tibet. What? China liberated Tibet? No. China put Tibet on oppressive, evil oppression. No, excuse me. Okay. Tibetan people were under abject slavery before in Tibet. Okay. Now they're living middle class lives and have it better than ever. In 21 years ago, George, I don't remember his Chinese name, so maybe it was Lee. I don't remember. He was one of the professors and program coordinators at Huaxida in Chengdu. Now that's Huaxida Shui in Chengdu on Remnin Avenue, where I was living. I was living in one of the nice teacher apartments in the dormitory in the area. There's dormitories and then there's nice teacher apartments. I was living there in 1999, and I got to know George. Now this, keep in mind, guys, this is in 1999. So this is 21 years ago. And we're just sitting having tea. By the way, that's what you do in Chengdu. You sit around and you have tea. We're sitting around having tea. I said, George, so, tell me about the university. He happened to speak very nice English. And he said, yeah, we're doing this. We have this new satellite online program we're putting in Tibet. I was like, oh, well, what? What's that all about? Well, yeah, Huaxida Shui, that's the Chinese medical university in Chengdu. Very famous. Chengdu in China is the most famous starting place, the root source place for traditional Chinese medicine in China. Chengdu, very famous. TCM University in Chengdu. So this is one of the medical universities there. And he says to me, oh yeah, the TCM University, we're installing the online satellite education for the people of Tibet. For Chinese medicine and herbal medicine and doctors and nurses and people to study and get a freaking education instead of being slaves. That's what you do to lift people out of poverty. You educate them, you create opportunities. I don't know. Last time I checked, that sounds mysteriously like what government's responsibility is, right? So this is what's really going on in Tibet. I'm going back 21 years. But of course, this is not what you're hearing. So they got to rotate away from Tibet. And the new favorite thing of the day, of course, is the Uyghur thing. And especially pop over to Fernando's channel, Fermube, and check out, because he's following on this Uyghur tribunal thing. I can only laugh. I mean, all you can do is laugh because, like I said, Uyghur Muslims are like other Muslims. They're like Hui Muslims who are Muslims. I was in Xinjiang County 2 weeks ago, and about 30% of the population is Muslim population. And by the way, ate the greatest beef I ever ate in my life. Oh my God. Shibei Niuro. Shibei Lao Niu Lao Ro. Oh my gosh, man. La Ro, excuse me. La Ro, Niu La Ro. This was the most succulent, delicious, tender, amazing beef ever that I ate in China in 20 years in Northwest, in Northwest here in Northwest China, in Gansu and Ningxian. Unbelievable. So all minorities in China, including Uyghurs, have preferential policies that Han don't have. Get it? The Uyghurs were exempt from the one-child policy. Meaning, Mr. and Mrs. Uyghur, how are you? We hate you. We oppress you. We're evil and want to destroy you. So we're going to let you have as many kids as you want. What? Do you see what I mean? I mean, do you hear and understand how frickin' ridiculous this is? Okay? Those preferential policies for the Uyghurs over many, many years. And finally, a couple of years ago, they stopped allowing the preferential policy for the Uyghurs on the birth rate. They, said the kids in a household to 2, like the rest of the Han people in China. And then that threw off the birth rate curve, of course. Now you combine that with the fact that they get in free education, jobs programs, poverty alleviation programs, better education than they've ever had. You go to, I just met another couple, I won't say who they are, who were in Kashgar. They couldn't believe how wonderful Kashgar was. They just thought it was one. This is an American couple. They happen to live in Hangzhou, and they said to me they really wanted to go to Kashgar, and they went to Kashgar. And several of the YouTube guys themselves have also gone on their own to check out Urumqi and Kashgar, and just said it was absolutely amazing. So you've got preferential policies, preferential healthcare policies. They come out with this nonsense about IUDs and sterilization. And I was the first one, I'm going to brag, I was the first one to point out in my Xinjiang video back in December of last year. And since then, a lot of the other guys have followed up talking about how this 8% IUD number was a mistake. It was a typo. They were told it was a typo. I told them over a year and a half ago, back in December, so that's like a year and a half. Okay. And then finally, Daniel and some of the Blumenthal, they had a roundup about talking about, all this Xinjiang crap. Okay. And then finally, Zen's, they corrected the number in the report. Oh, thanks a lot for correcting the number in the report after you make everybody think that China's a bunch of monsters. This is typically what they do. Real monsters is you, the accusers, you Western bastard assholes. Starting after World War II, for the last 70 years, why can't you frickin' develop your country and the world without killing people? Could you explain this to me? Could you please I love to be an American. Nothing pleases me more than the idea of America. My Italian family, they immigrated to that great, wonderful country, America. And 65-70% of the people there are still wonderful. It's America. What a wonderful place. Could the government please just take a break for a decade? For 7 fucking decades, you've been massacring millions of innocent civilians. It started with the Korean War. I mean, my father served in the Korean War. I don't want to say bad things about the United States military or anything else. You need to help keep the world a safe place. I agree. But in Chinese, we have a saying. It's called guofenle. It's like when you're over the line. Okay? If you're killing millions of innocent civilians in the name of justice, freedom, and democracy, you're Guafunla. You're over the fucking line. Okay? And it doesn't seem to matter whether it's Democrats or Republicans or left or right. I mean, what is wrong with you people? Would you please, I'm asking you, as an American, on behalf of all Americans, would you please stop massacring innocent civilians and selling weapons to countries that also massacre innocent civilians? Could you please just do that part? Meanwhile, look at this beautiful view. The only country that isn't killing anybody to make itself do well is China. And you turn around and you want to tell us that China's the one that's the big bad wolf. Jesus Christmas. I mean, how stupid do you think people are? And the answer to that question is, hang on. The answer to that question is, you don't think people are stupid, but you already know what they are. They're human. They're gullible. Even really smart people. After a while, you tell them shit long enough, and they start to swallow it. They start to believe it. Behavior modification sets in. You brainwash the hell out of them. Okay, and then they start believing all this crap. I mean, I deal with people on Twitter every day who absolutely believe, like Hitler was burning the Jews, burning them, gassing them in the gas chamber. This is what we associate the word genocide with. The genocide of the Armenians by the Turkish. Okay, right now, millions of starving children in Yemen, a genocide being done. Okay, I mean, this is real. Like, dead bodies and frail children that are in such bad shape you can't even look at them. Look at the photos. Do you see anything like that in China? There's cameras everywhere. Okay, let me ask you this. There's United States satellites all over the place, right? Show me the fucking dead bodies in Urumqi. Show me the starving babies laying all over the street like you have in Yemen. Show me the struggling middle class who can't even survive in Venezuela because of sanctions by the United States government that decimates the middle class, decimates and displaces millions of people in Syria and Libya, turning these countries into hellholes, human suffering by the United States military. And you're trying to tell us that China is the bad guy. Really? Really? The Uyghur Muslim population has grown by 25% over the last 10 years. That's not genocide. They have free education. They have preferential health care and family planning and daycare policies. This is not forced sterilization. It's not forced anything. Okay? Jesus. I mean, it's impossible to convince someone who already believes it because they've already been brainwashed. What the hell are you going to do? You know? The next thing. The most recent thing. Tiananmen Square. I love this. Listen to me. You got United government cables. Let me straighten this all out for you right now. Okay? You have United States government cables by the United States ambassador to China, James Lilly, stating what was happening in Tiananmen that day. There was fighting all around the city. Okay? The students were burning the soldiers alive. They lit a bus full of soldiers. The soldiers were there to keep the peace. The students lit the soldier bus on fire and burned them to a crisp. Okay? There was a peaceful protest. George Soros and the other guy, Zhao Yiying, what the hell was his name? Okay, funded a small group of revolutionaries to create violence to try and create a coup and overthrow Tiananmen in China, in during this was the Tiananmen protests, the violent protests. They were burning and hanging soldiers. Do you hear me? This is what the students were doing. the the Chinese army was called in. Well, I'd call you in too. If that, I mean, look at what was happening in America with Antifa and all these other violent things that were happening. I mean, when violence happens, you have to call people in to stop it. Last time I checked, in any country. Okay? So this is what's happening. And the meanwhile, you've got Ken Roth. Ken Roth? No, that's the HRW guy making $600,000 a year to be the head of a fake charity, Human Rights Watch. Not Ken Roth. Roth, the CBS News reporter. You got American U.S. Ambassador to China, James Lilly. You got Graham Earnshaw. You got several others, the BBC reporter, CBS reporter. World Affairs blog has the best rundown of everything in their article. All the facts saying quite clearly, we were there, and the army, oh, and there's video from Jen from Mango Press. There's live video with the voice of the army, this live video from that day. The voice of the army, and I speak enough Mandarin, I understand that the Mandarin, the army is blaring out on the loudspeaker, please peacefully leave the square. The effort to take care of the students and clear the square peacefully is exactly what was going on. And it's exactly what they did, and it's exactly what was reported. Now, what are you going to do when that is what was reported, and then they say, oh no, there was a massacre, thousands of students were run over by tanks? What? What are you talking about? Okay, you have your own U.S. ambassador to China, plus the news that was on the ground, the news reporters, and everyone who was on the ground, they're saying, no, we didn't see any massacre at Tiananmen Square. We just saw the army trying to clear everything up, restore order, stability. Same thing happened. Same thing happened the last 2 years in Hong Kong. Okay, you got the CIA through the National Endowment for Democracy funding violent protesters to create trouble, to undermine the Chinese government. I mean, this is what the United States does. They do Venezuela, Libya, Syria. I mean, I mean, Latin America. I mean, where the hell don't they do this stuff? So they're trying to make you, no matter what, think all of this is in the name of freedom, democracy, and justice, when what it is in the name of is just power and hegemony and imperialism. You know, these Western white people in charge, they think who the hell they are. They absolutely believe they are the head of the earth, okay? And they lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and make up these stories. Let me give you the third example, the Korean War. I mentioned it earlier, right? Okay, I'd like you to imagine this for a second, okay? You got North Korea and South Korea, small countries, small place, little peninsula, right? Post-World War, the United States military is there, Japan is there, and the U.S. Army's job is to get Japan out of the Korean Peninsula at the end of World War II, and that's why they're still there. MacArthur was there. I played MacArthur in crossing the Yalu River. I learned about all this because I researched my role. I did my work, right? I did my job. That's why I learned about all this. Well, it's not a pretty thing. It's not a pretty story. So United States got Japan out off of the Korean Peninsula. MacArthur was instrumental in a very good way of bringing peace back to Japan. Peace talks back to Japan post-World War II in a very good way. Good, wonderful, great job. And then they turn around and they fucking massacre 2.5 million Koreans. Now, are you freaking out last month because Israel, in its conflict with Palestine, killed 66 Palestinians? Now, I know that time makes things seem less important and makes things easier to deal with, you know, less painful. But 2.5 million innocent, 2.5 million North Koreans were massacred, of which about 1 million were military. That's 1.5 million innocent people. Now, this is back in 1950. These are just simple, local, village, innocent families, okay, who were intentionally napalm decimated by the UN command forces, including the South Korean forces, under the command of the guy I played in the movie, General MacArthur. What do you want from me? I didn't ask for this to be the history. I'm just telling you this is what the history is. So, why did it even happen? Because, folks, U.S. educated and put in South Korea, Syngman Rhee was the murderous dictator of South Korea. He was publicly stating and boasting that he was going to take over North Korea. This was after World War II. North Koreans didn't like that. They didn't want to hear that. They did preemptively attack South Korea. They took Seoul. They absolutely did. That's the story. That's what happened. U.S. forces were already there. Truman, without congressional approval, started an illegal war. Got the UN to support with MacArthur in charge. MacArthur's intelligence forces kept telling him, China's pissed. China's pissed. They're amassing 100,000 plus troops at the border to help North Korea. General MacArthur kept saying, nah, the Chinese are not going to enter this fight. Well, MacArthur was completely wrong. And the Chinese blindsided the UN command forces. And that military maniac was so pissed, he had a press conference without Truman's approval, without anybody's approval. He's just like on his own over in Japan, okay? And the command center was in Tokyo. And he calls a press conference and says, we're going to teach the Chinese a lesson. We're going to cross the Yalu River. We're going to blow up the Yalu River Bridge. Cross the Yalu River meant cross the border into China. So the press is like, General MacArthur, are you saying you're going to attack China and invade China? Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying. Now, somewhere along the line, he or someone else had a secret plan. This part's not that clear. They were going to spread nuclear waste all over Shanghai. They decimated and massacred 2.5 million Koreans on the peninsula, North Koreans. How many in the south side died? How many foreign military died? I don't know. So this was the beginning of the post-World War II hegemony of the United States, creating their little puppet countries in other regions of the world so they could have power in the name of freedom, democracy, and we're spreading democracy. You're not spreading democracy. You're spreading fucking massacre is what you're spreading, okay? And the only other country in the world to rise up to the level of power you're at, and by the way, China's economy is bigger than the United States. That's the next topic. The only country to ever rise up to the status of world superpower without massacring millions of innocents is China. And they're doing it today, in today's world, right now, in today's world, 2021. That's what's going on in our generation. Your generation, my generation, okay? Previously, from the 1400s to the 1800s, it was Europe. But how did Europe go about expanding? Man, it was just a murderous mayhem every step of the way. I mean, you know, my wife and I, we were watching the old, the King of England, King of Spain, Queen Elizabeth time movies. These movies, right back 1400s. These people were maniacs. Okay, they were maniacs. All right. And in the past, feudal civil fighting and feudal fighting within China as well. Okay. Fine. I don't care about the past. I care about how everybody's acting now. So I'm going back to what I said before. Could we please have a decade where the United States joins China in not slaughtering innocent civilians? I would like that. Okay, now we got to go back to this. I said it about the GDP. Okay. Look, U.S. GDP is not what it is, and China GDP is not what it is. You got to do PPP GDP, purchasing power parity. Okay. You can't say to me, oh, the United States economy GDP is, all right, I'm going to climb this. We're going to wrap up the video. I'm on this subject, and I'm going to climb these stairs. The one that I didn't want to climb. I'm doing it for you. Ready? Let's go. So, you have to consider the cost of living. You can't say to me, oh, United States GDP is $20 trillion, $21 trillion, and China's GDP is, I think it's about 15 trillion. Okay, and so United States is still the world's superpower and biggest economy in the world. Now this is bullshit, okay? Because when you have to look at cost of living, okay? If you say to me that the real estate economy generates this much GDP and that's because GDP rent is more like what, 1,000. Well, that's part of GDP, okay? And the size and the size of the capitalizations. Whew, you look, I breathe. There we go. The size of the capitalization of the stock market. These companies are so huge. This is bullshit, okay? America's the biggest market. Look, the Fed has pumped to the point now where it's, what is it, 50 to 100 billion dollars every single month at zero interest into the corporations, okay? And Trump announced this, you know, what was this $1 trillion tax cut? Guys, where did all this money go? You know, Trump lied. I mean, they're all liars in Washington. All that money, 90% of that tax cut money to the corporations, what did they do with that? Did they allocate it to make the society better? Did they give out bonuses to the people? Did they apply it to, they didn't even apply it to research and development. 90% of the tax cuts, hundreds of billions of dollars, and what did the corporations do? Those fucking Wall Street, hundreds of billions of dollars, and what did the corporations do? Those fucking Wall Street corporations with these CEOs making millions of dollars per year, okay? Stock buybacks, okay, to inflate the capital value, capitalization value of their stocks, okay? So it's a fake bloated economy, okay? If you say to me, in China, the top university tuition is like Tsinghua, and the top university and the tuition is like $20,000 a year. Would you say to me, oh, well, the top universities in America, the tuition is $80,000 a year, $60,000 a year? What the hell is that? Okay, you got all these students stuck with these student loans. What's the student loan debt now? It's like 1.5 trillion, I believe. With these student loans, what's the student loan debt now? It's like 1.5 trillion, I believe. So they inflate the numbers and make it all sound like it's big and huge, but it's not real. Okay, I live in a second-tier city in China. You live in a second-tier city in America. Let's forget about New York, LA, San Francisco, where, you know, everything is like $1 million for a house and $4,000, $3,000 a month for $4,000 a month or more for rent. Forget that. Let's say I live in Xinjiang, a second-tier city, and you live in, hell, I don't know, Tampa, Chicago, Phoenix, some, you know, Colorado Springs, some second-tier city. Okay, what's your cost of living every month? What's your salary every month? You say, well, China's GDP is based on people's salaries, and their salary is only $6,000 a month. Okay, so only $6,000 a month. That's only $900 a month. No, people, there's so many differences. Okay, first of all, in China, when someone tells you their salary is $6,000 a month, that's net, not gross. Okay, whenever anybody tells you what they're making in China, that's net in their hand, not gross. Oh, yeah, I just got a job back in America, $100,000 a year. Yeah, 6 figures, baby. No, it's not 6 figures. You know as well as I do, that's the gross. Okay, and so your net is like about 70, 75 by the time they're done taking all the taxes out. That's number one. Number two, my brother and so many other people, okay? I mean, these people are paying like $1,500 a month plus the... Are you kidding me? I live here in China. I've been using China's healthcare system for 21 years. I've had MRIs of my brain. I thought I was going to die when I was 55 years old a few years ago. Okay, I had very severe gastritis. I thought I was having a stroke. I didn't know what the hell it was. I had a hernia operation. Okay, all these things I had, okay, at reasonable, regular, normal prices. My hernia operation, which was state of the art from beginning to end, cost me like $2,000. Okay, my wife's birth of her child, state of the art Chinese hospital, all the services through 9 months of pregnancy, everything, same thing, came to about $2,000. Okay, that's just what the cost. Not $2,000 per month for the freaking premium plus the deductible. None of that. Just straight $2,000. Okay. You know, you need a CT scan here in China. It's $50. You need an MRI. It's $150, maybe $200, and you can get it done typically like the same day. Okay. So numbers are inflated. You can't just think about salary. Okay. In your second tier city in America, your rent is $1,500 a month. I live in a beautiful city like this, right? This is Yan'an. It's smaller, third tier city. I live in Xinjiang, second tier city like Qingdao, like Chongqing, Chengdu, Dalian. Okay, I live in a 1,300 square foot, really nice 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, and you can rent my apartment for $550 a month, and it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so the cost of living is a lot lower. You have to look at that when you're looking at salaries. Okay, you have to have a car to have a job in the United States. In China, it's exactly the opposite. I go downstairs, there's bus stops. There's 20 buses flying along the bus stops. There's subways. You don't need a car. Now, lots of people now are buying cars because it's nice to have a car. Okay, I like having a car. I got a Buick Regal. I love it. It's like a Cadillac. It's wonderful. I like having a car, but I don't need it. Absolutely don't need it. So there's $500 a month out the door right there. If you're on a quote, you say, oh, and you live in China and you know you're only making $600 a month, $500 a month. Well, it's two people living in a house making $500 a month. That's $1,000. That's $1,000 right there. Okay. Plus food costs a lot lower. So it's $1,000 in China plus another $1,000. So $1,000 in China a month is like $2,000 a month in America, or more. You hear what I'm saying? So you can't say to me, oh, the GDP's higher. Okay. When things are inflated, it makes no sense. You know what? Listen, this has gone on really, really long. I got so many more things I'd love to speak with you about, but I gotta go. It's gone on long enough. I've decided I'm not going to continue walking up those stairs. I'm going to end the live stream right here. You know what? There's so many topics to talk about. I would like you to do me a favor. Watch this video. Down in the comment section, please write down the topics you want me to cover in the next live stream that I do like this. I'll do another one in a few days. Write down the topics you want me to cover. There's so many. They're all so important, right? Subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. I want you to do that. My Weibo just hit 30,000 followers. I'm whipping up a new campaign. I'm going to end up with over 250,000 followers here over this coming summer. Big things happening with Weibo. I got another article, interview coming up with People's Daily. My MacArthur interview where Nanfang Daily took me to the Yalu River in Dandong last month. Thank you so much, Nanfang Daily. That interview, an 8-minute video documentary of my role as General MacArthur. That documentary's coming out any day now. Lots of great, wonderful, exciting things happening as we head into the summer. Remember what I'm telling you, okay? You're being lied to about China because China's doing good things. Okay, America needs to get its act together. It needs to stop being an imperialist bully. It needs to stop killing people. It needs to start playing in the global sandbox for mutual cooperation with everybody else. That's the future. And if America does, to the degree that America doesn't do, there's trouble for everybody. And it's bad for you and it's bad for me. And frankly, it scares me and it worries me. Not so much for me, right? But for our children. The future of the whole planet and what's going on. So we got to hope and even pray for our political leaders that they get their heads together and get their priorities straight. I got to go, folks. We'll see you. Thanks very much. Take care and go. See you. God bless. Bye. Now I got to figure out how to end this thing.